Arteta could make a decision in this Man United game that could shock so many people. Look, Arsenal vs Man United has always been a game steeped in history. For much of my younger years, Arsenal vs Man United was the main rivalry in the Premier League. And people around my kind of age might not have even seen a bigger rivalry on these shores. Look, it's going to be difficult. But I think there's things in this game Mikel Arteta can do to really increase our chances of winning this game. Look, before we get into it, I hate to do it. Just do me the favour and hit like on this video. So like I said, look, this game isn't going to be easy. It's going to be a tough game. But if all things are considered, if these Arsenal players turn up, in reality, we should be able to beat Man United. Now look, I know football doesn't always work like that. But if Arsenal kind of have the ability here to make this game as easy or as difficult as they like, Arsenal are the far superior team to Manchester United. Arsenal have way more ability. Man United are a mess at the minute. But every time we play Manchester United, it's like Real Madrid turns up. It's like Bayern Munich turns up. 1 minute they're rubbish, they turn up against us, and it's like it's prime CR7, Rashford. And they do have players that can hurt us. We're going to go through some of them in this video. Look, they do have some bad players as well, and some areas of the pitch where I think they're suspect. I think their defence is terrible. I think they're poor. The goalkeeper, I don't think he's very good. I think in terms of his saving ability, he's even worse than David De Gea, and that takes some beating. Onana's been terrible. It's not been a good signing. So I think if these Arsenal players take shots, I think there could be a goal in it. Like an easy goal is what I'm talking about. I think there's going to be goals in this game regardless, especially from Arsenal, especially if these players turn up and do exactly what I think they're going to do. Look, they have some players that we need to bear in mind. Rashford, like I said, every time we play against Rashford, he seems to have a very, very good game. Now, I don't know if it's just because he's playing Arsenal. He ups his level. But Rashford is a player we need to take into consideration. His form this season has been poor. So by that account, maybe he might have a poor game. But I think we definitely need to be concerned of Rashford. Garnacho, I think he's a good player. Now, look, I think they've only got 4 players that we need to be aware of. I don't think they've got 6, 7 players that you're looking at and you're thinking, oh my God, these players are unbelievable. Man United aren't that team anymore. Look, like I said, Rashford, Garnacho, Kobe Mainu. Look, he's not elite, but I like him. He's a good young player. And at times I've seen him and I think, wow, this player has potential. I don't think he's going to be able to upset Arsenal's midfield. I don't think he's at that level. But I like Mainu and I'm interested to see how he gets on against a midfield that is probably one of the strongest in the league. And then I think you have to give some credit to Hoijlund. Look, in terms of numbers, he hasn't been great. But I do see something with Hoijlund. I think he does have pace. I think he does have strength. And I think eventually he will come good. I think Man United, you know, in true Man United fan fashion, you know, they're building up all these players and acting like they're the best in the world, when in reality they're not. I think they got some good young players, but on the most part, I think they're an old, aging team. I think they're going to struggle against the technical ability of an Odegaard, of the strength of Declan Rice, William Saliba, Gabriel. I think Arsenal are going to be looking good in this game. But like I said, I think that defence is where Arsenal can really get at it. Listen to the defence they fielded in that game against Crystal Palace. Wan-Bissaka, Johnny Evans, Casemiro and Dalot. I mean, seriously, that is like a comedy of errors just looking at it. If they have to deploy that same defence against Arsenal, we're going to tear them to ribbons. They stand no chance. Now, apparently there's some rumours going about that Man United are going to have a lot of their good players back. Look, I'm not worried because good players for them is players that won't even make our bench. Now, like I said, look, I'm not expecting this to be an easy game. I do think every time Arsenal go to Old Trafford, they struggle. I think in the last 20 years or 18 years, we've only beat them twice at Old Trafford. So that tells you the task that these players have. It's not going to be an easy game. There's things that Mikel Arteta might have to do to try and be clever. And I think that's where the team news comes in. Look, I don't see much change in this, but I think there's a couple of positions that we can have some discussions about that Mikel Arteta might pull off a little madness. I think left back is an interesting one. We've recently heard the news that Tomiyasu missed training. He wasn't spotted in training. Now, is that an injury concern? Is that a long-term thing? Or was it as easy as, no, look, he's just come back from injury. He needs a bit of rest. If it's that, brilliant. He probably starts. But if not, this is where Mikel Arteta could make the shock decision. Could he throw Yuri and Timber in straight away? Well, not straight away because he's been on the bench, but could he throw Yuri and Timber in a massive game against Man United? I'd love to see it. And if Tomiyasu isn't available, sign me up. I want to see Timber on that left-hand side. Waiting so long, so many Arsenal fans have been this season to see Yuri and Timber. Could he be the final piece to the puzzle to lock down that left-hand side that we know has seen so much rotation this season? Jurrien Timber, I think, could be the first curveball that Manchester United probably won't be expecting. You know, when he got that injury first game of the season, many people said, right, that's his season done. And it very nearly was. We got 2 games left and we still really haven't seen much of Jurrien Timber, so I think this could be the game to throw him in. Let him play. The other selection is central midfield. I've seen so many people actually opt into, they would start Jorginho in this game. Now look, I have nothing against Jorginho. I think he's helped us out. I think he's been a good player for Arsenal. I was very happy to see that he signed on for another year. I've said in a previous video, I want to see Jorginho have that extra year. But in my opinion, I would probably roll back his minutes slightly. I probably wouldn't play him as much next season as I did this season. And again, that's nothing against the player because I actually think he's quite good. But I think that's a position that can be upgraded. And in my opinion, Thomas Partey is an upgrade on Jorginho. So if Thomas Partey's fit, you have to play Thomas Partey in that role. Thomas Partey has been brilliant. Has he made a couple of mistakes? Yes. But what Arsenal players haven't? What players in general don't make mistakes? Thomas Partey might have got dispossessed in the last game. He might have allowed Tottenham to have a chance against us. Okay, so many Arsenal players have done that this season, but the next game they go on to play really well. And Thomas Partey did go on to play really well in that game. I'm not worried about Thomas Partey at all. I think he would be very, very good in this game. I actually think he is part of our best midfield. Partey, Declan Rice and Odegaard. It's a midfield that we've been screaming out for all season, and since we've seen it, we've been sublime, incredible in midfield. Won all the midfield battles. We know when we play Thomas Partey, it allows Declan Rice to get forward. You know, he can get forward. It allows Odegaard free reign of that full forward area without thinking, oh God, if this breaks, I'm going to have to get back. He doesn't have to. Thomas Partey's there now. He's a tank. He can clean up. So I think we have to go Thomas Partey. Like I said, let me know your team selection. I would go David Raya, Ben White, Saliba, Gabriel, Jurrien Timber. Come on, play him. Thomas Partey, Declan Rice, Martin Odegaard, Saka, Havertz, and on the left, that could be another discussion. Do you want Martinelli? Are you still hanging on and clinging and hoping for the Martinelli that we saw last season? Does that player still exist? I still think it's in there with Martinelli, but his season, you know, this term hasn't been great. We can't pretend he's been as good as Leandro Trossard. Leandro Trossard, in terms of numbers, we know he's been our second best performer in terms of output, best goals per minute, most open play goals. So what do you go with in this game? I probably play Trossard in this game. I understand why people would want to play Martinelli, and I see it as well. Everybody on form, Trossard, everyone, Jesus, Martinelli, if they're all playing at 100%, Martinelli's our best left winger. But he hasn't quite hit the heights this season. I think there's a couple of reasons for that. Maybe we can get into that on another video, but I would play Trossard in this game. I think you can't ignore the numbers. You can't ignore the success he's having in terms of output. So you can kind of go with Martinelli in hopes that he plays good, or you can actually go with a guy who's shown this season. There's evidence out there. Trossard does perform, and he probably will perform. So for me, I go with Leandro Trossard. But like I said, let me know your opinion on that. Score prediction. Now, this is a difficult one because you never know what Man United you're going to get. Look, Ten Hag, when Man United come in, what did they say? Oh, best manager in Europe. Best up-and-coming manager in Europe. He got Ajax to a semi-final. Terrible manager. Absolutely awful. Tactical lacking. His tactics are awful. I don't get what he's trying to do. Like when they're playing out from the back, they bought Onana because they wanted to play out from the back more. David De Gea is a far superior shot stopper to Onana, and that's saying something because David De Gea was playing with butter on his gloves most of the time. He was throwing the ball in his own net. Onana's come in and been worse, but you kind of hear, okay, well, he's good with his feet. Okay, the Man United play out from the back. No. Like when Onana's got the ball, the defenders, which is the most simple form of playing out for the back, don't even show for him. Onana gets the ball and Harry Maguire, Johnny Evans, they run the other way. And it's like when Arsenal get the ball with David Raya, you see Gabriel peels back to always receive the ball. There always has to be an option when you're playing out from the back. Otherwise, you get boxed in. And Man United are so poor at that. And I don't know, is that the players just not listening to the manager? Because surely the manager must have seen that. Surely the manager says to these players, when the goalkeeper has the ball, how about go and stand in some space so he can pass it to you? But they just don't do it. They all get forward. Man United play the ball out and lose it most times. So if Man United do that, then Arsenal are going to have so much success. So in terms of a score prediction, like I said, it could be a 4-0. But I'm going to go rather conservative because it has been such a difficult fixture for Arsenal over these years. I'm going to go with a 2-1, but I think it has the potential to be a 3-1. I'm going to go with a 2-1. Arsenal looking really good. Go maybe 1-0 up at half-time, maybe even 2-0 up at half-time. Man United get a dodgy goal in the second half. Terrible referee decision. So I'm going to go with a 2-1 with maybe a dodgy finish. Kind of like how we saw against Tottenham. You know, where there's a bit of pressure. Last 30 minutes, you're thinking, struggling. But yeah, I think Arsenal, like I said, they have the ability to make this game as difficult as they want. In terms of the title race, Arsenal, of course, have to win this game. Man City are playing Saturday, so we're going to know the score of that one already. In many people's opinion, the Man City game against Fulham is the last real chance Man City have got to drop points. They're looking at it and saying, look, it's the early kickoff on Saturday, which I understand has been notorious over the years of throwing up these dodgy results. Sometimes the 12:30 kickoff can be a bit dodgy. It can be a bit sticky for some teams. Sometimes the underdog wins. Look, we have to pray for that to happen. Our destiny isn't in our own hands. And we're going to need Fulham to do us a favour. Will Fulham want to do us a favour? Not particularly. I've been speaking to a Fulham fan recently and he said Fulham aren't going to do Arsenal any favours. What that means, I don't know. I just hope Fulham can take points. Listen, just draw that game. After that, they got to play Tottenham. Tottenham aren't going to do Arsenal any favours. I think Ange is probably going to want to, the way he's coming across in saying he wants to beat everyone, I think that could be a difficult game for them. And they got West Ham. Look, they're 3 difficult games when you think about it. Fulham are a decent team. Tottenham are a decent team. And West Ham can be a decent team. They all have the ability, all 3 of them teams have the ability to turn up some weekends and be unbelievable. But it is Man City they're playing, and you're looking at it and saying, all you got to do is look at the squad, and you look at some of them players, and you think, how is anyone going to beat them? But it does happen. But we just need to hope it happens at this point in the season, which has been, so successful for Man City in these recent years. These last few games of the season, it's their bread and butter. This is what they play for. The business end of the season is where Man City close deals. They turn up, they don't lose at the end part of the season. Early on in the season, they can be accused of maybe being a bit laxical, maybe throwing away some results. But at the end of the season, Man City are just relentless, and that's why they have been able to pick up so many titles. That's why they've been able to fend off this Liverpool team that has been great over recent years. Now, they're not quite at the level now, but we just need to hope Fulham do us a favour. Every single game, we're going to be talking about Man City. It's just going to be, we need someone to do us a favour. It's a rubbish position to be in. We don't want to be there. But look, this team has seen progression this year. Arsenal were in a far better position than we was last year. Our squad's in a far better place than it was last year. And do we need Fulham to do us a hand? Yes. Do I think it's going to happen? I don't know. But we'll speak about it on the weekend. Can't wait for it. Let me know your thoughts on everything you've heard in this video. What are you expecting from the Man United game? Do you think it's going to be an easy one? Or do you think it's going to be prime Barcelona? Real Madrid. The Galacticos are going to turn up, which is so often the case with this Man United team. Like I said, let me know your score predictions. Thanks so much to everyone for watching and listening. Before you go, please just do me the favour of hitting like on this video. Just give me a thumbs up and like it and subscribe. And I'll speak to you all in tomorrow's video. Gooners, have a good day.